Whether you're looking for a brunch recipe or just a breakfast idea to meal prep, this keto quiche recipe is your solution to keeping your carbs low with only 3 net carbs per slice. A classic quiche is a pastry crust that's filled with a creamy egg custard mixed with cheese, meat, or vegetables. The filling of a quiche is typically keto approved because it's mostly egg, cheese, and meat based. It's the crust where you run into problems. And you can certainly make this a crustless quiche, but I like the crust. I want that flaky pie crust to be on the bottom of my quiche. And I'm gonna show you how to make this as low as carb as possible. Now let's get to baking so I can show you how easy it is to make quiche. Starting with the crust, we're gonna add 1 cup of almond flour to a food processor. And if you don't have a food processor, you can actually blend everything together with using a pastry blender or a fork. So you will need to cut in some cold butter later on. But the food processor is so much easier. Then add in 3 tablespoons of coconut flour, 1 teaspoon of xanthan gum, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Pulse this together until it's mixed. And then we're gonna add 1/2 cup of unsalted butter. And this butter is chilled and cubed. And this is the key to making flaky crust. You want your pie crust to have these chunks of butter in them because as these pockets of butter melt when your pie crust bakes, it's going to steam and release air, and that's how you get that flaky crust. You'll also need 1 ounce of softened cream cheese, an egg, and 1.5 teaspoons of rice vinegar, white vinegar, or apple cider vinegar. This is just there for the flavor. You don't want to omit this step because it really makes for a delicious pie crust. Then we pulse just until the pie crust comes together. You don't want to overmix or over manipulate your dough because that just increases the chance that butter is going to melt and you won't be having flaky pie crust. It'll taste good, but it won't be flaky. After you've rolled your dough in between 2 sheets of parchment paper, then place the dough into your pie plate or a quiche dish. And I like to cut the edges off so that it looks pretty. Then we're gonna bake this in the oven at 350 degrees for around 8 to 9 minutes. You don't wanna go overboard because we are gonna bake it again once we add our egg filling inside, so you don't want your crust to overburn. So just like 8 to 10 minutes. While that's cooking, I'm gonna mix up one of my favorite beverages to have in the morning, which is Element electrolytes. It's always important to rehydrate first thing in the morning. An Element has all the important electrolytes your body needs to function properly and feel good. All of us on a low carb lifestyle, no matter where you are in your journey, need proper hydration and to refuel with electrolytes. It's also a great solution for combating the keto flu if you're just starting out because a lot of those symptoms are caused by low electrolytes. There's so many great flavors to choose from, and right now you can try it for free. All you have to do is pay shipping, which is $5, and you'll get a sample pack with their 8 flavors shipped to you. This offer is for US residents only, and it's a one-time offer, so make sure you act now. Now that my crust is done, it's time to start working on our custard filling. And I'm making a quiche lorraine, which is just a fancy way of saying it's a quiche with bacon in it. So I'm gonna have to cook up 8 ounces of bacon, and my preferred method to cook up bacon is in the air fryer. It's just so much easier, it's quicker that way. If you guys want instructions on how to cook bacon in the air fryer, I'll have it linked down below for you. I do have instructions on my website. You could also just Google KetoFocus air fryer bacon and it'll come up as well. Once your bacon is cooked, we're gonna cut it up into bite-sized pieces and then sprinkle the bacon on top of the pie crust, along with 4 ounces of shredded cheese. And you can use any sort of shredded cheese. I'm gonna be using Gruyere cheese. To make the egg custard, add in 2 eggs and 2 egg yolks into a bowl. Then pour in 1 cup of nut milk, and I'm gonna be using macadamia nut milk, but any nut milk you wanna use will work, along with 1 cup of heavy cream. For seasoning, we're gonna add salt and pepper, which is 1/2 teaspoon of each. Whisk this together until it's combined, and then just pour that on top of your pie crust. Then we bake this in the oven at 350 degrees for around 30 to 35 minutes. Now this is important. You do want to put your quiche on top of a baking tray to catch any sort of drippings. When mine baked the first time I made this, I didn't do this, and so some of the butter from the pie crust seeped out and got on the bottom of my oven and created a lot of smoke. So don't forget to put it on top of the pan when you bake it in the oven. The custard of this quiche is so silky and the crust turned out so flaky, and yes, this is how I like to eat it. This will definitely feed a crowd, just like my keto breakfast pizza. If you want to check out that recipe, just click right here.